If you're in your 40s or beyond and you've ever wondered what foods you can add in to your day that will help to reduce your perimenopause symptoms, maybe some of your postmenopause symptoms, and you're just looking for something simple to add in to your day, to your diet, to your week, to your meal plan that will help to reduce symptoms like higher anxiety, brain fog, decreased energy, then this is the video for you. Hi, I am Kobe. I am a coach for women in their 40s and beyond for fitness and nutrition. And I used to wonder, what can I just eat that's going to help me to feel more energized, to feel like I have some hormone balance going on? If you're in your 40s or beyond, you've experienced low mood, some brain fog, some decreased focus, maybe night sweats, maybe sleep disturbances. There are all sorts of things, all sorts of symptoms that can happen with this transition into perimenopause, postmenopause, and this video is going to just give you some simple things that you can do. There's a lot of things we can do. There's a lot of components to that, and you might want to check out some of my other videos for specific things. But this is a video on superfoods. And when I talk about superfoods in the video, if you're like me, I used to think superfoods was something extraordinary, something maybe that I don't already eat or that I need to find at a specialty grocery store, when in fact the foods we're going to talk about in here are superfoods, not because they're extraordinary or special or different than any other food, but because the foundation of these foods will help to balance your hormones, which have a positive effect in a number of different ways. So I'm going to share my screen with you and go into some different parts of superfoods. So there's going to be 4 different categories we will look at, and each of those categories contains certain foods that are going to help you to balance your hormones for some pretty super effects. Stay tuned. So when we're talking menopause superfoods, we're talking that phase of life which includes the menopause transition. So any part of life that starts with feeling menopause symptoms. So this could be in your early 40s, late 30s, even mid 40s to late 40s most often. But this could be anytime you're feeling symptoms and wondering, like, is this menopause related? This transitionary time can take up to 10 years. Most often, perimenopause finishes in our early 50s. So in North America, 52 is the most common age to be finished the menopause transition and then be into postmenopause. So postmenopause indicates when your cycle as you know it is finished. So what are menopause superfoods? And I kind of touched on this briefly in the fact that they're not some sort of crazy food that we don't already eat, that we don't already know about. In fact, they are functional foods that have a therapeutic value. So these foods can help us to manage menopause symptoms and to prevent chronic conditions later on as our hormones shift in this phase of life, particularly progesterone, estrogen, and cortisol. Then it can often have an effect on symptoms later in life post-menopause in terms specifically of our body composition, our muscle, and our bone health. And we'll go into the specifics of those later in the video. So these foods that we're going to talk about are particularly high in specific key active ingredients that have been studied in these specific 4 areas that I mentioned earlier. So just to kind of get an overview, and it might be hard to see this, especially if you're watching on a phone, but this is the Menopause Superfoods wheel. And right in the very center where it says Menopause Superfoods, around this, you will see the 4 areas that we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about body composition, we're going to talk about hormone balance, preventative health, and symptom management. Within each of these different colored categories are more specifics. So for example, in the body composition area, there's hair and skin and muscle support. And then beyond that, there is collagen, B6, omega oils, estrogen, protein, vitamin E, antioxidants. And then beyond that, it talks about the actual foods. So the bone broth, the nut butter, the spirulina. If you are part of my fitness and nutrition membership, this wheel is in the portal so that you can have a closer look at it, print it off if you want to, but also be able to zoom into it. If you can't see this big enough, that is totally okay, because we're going to go into the 4 areas now. So one of the 4 areas is the hormone balance area. So I'm going to go into 2 different slides on how you can incorporate basic foods that we already know exist into your hormone balance. So this hormone power seed mix I eat, I put into my smoothie each day. Sometimes I'll put it into my granola or my Greek yogurt mixture. And it contains sesame seeds, fenugreek, ground flax seeds, and pumpkin seeds. And the seed mix contains phytoestrogens, and so what that basically means is a plant estrogen. And so when we have later in our 40s and earlier in our 50s and beyond, when our estrogen levels start to decrease, these phytoestrogens will help to balance out our natural estrogen production. So as the estrogen production, that word is tricking me today. Our estrogen production moves from our ovaries into our adrenal glands after menopause. And so it's a decreased quantity at this point. So it helps to eat phytoestrogens, which are plant estrogens, to help boost this for us. So this will be also B vitamins and fiber in this seed mixture, which will help balance the estrogen and progesterone levels throughout the menopause journey, especially after menopause. During perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, the seed mix can be helpful. So I just put in here that it's about 2 tablespoons each day. You can spread it throughout the day. You can eat it all at once, whatever works best for you. Another option for hormone balance are legumes, and these also include phytoestrogens as well. They are rich in fiber and magnesium, which will help to balance our hormones out here too. So kidney beans, chickpeas, and edamame will help with this. So often what we'll hear is beans don't agree with my system and I get really gassy. And this is because of the oligosaccharides, and we need to break those down before we put them in our body. If you react with gas when you eat beans, then try to soak them for a while. So rinse them, discard the water halfway through, and then re-soak again for up to 12 hours can help to break down the oligosaccharides that cause the gas. You could also use a pressure cooker, or you could add seaweed, kombu seaweed, to the water while it's cooking, and this will help to break it down so that it will not produce so much gas in your body while you are eating them. So our second area that we're going to look at is body composition. This includes thickness of the skin and moisture, which are impacted by the changes in estrogen, which can be causing thinning and reducing elasticity in the skin. It can also have an impact on our muscle mass, which can drop when our estrogen levels drop as well. So some key ingredients or key nutrients here are protein, collagen, vitamin B6, oils, vitamin E, and antioxidants. So in this chart I put here, hopefully you can see it, but if not, I'll just go over it. So for our protein, you can find it in bone broth, meats, and nut butters. And if you get about 2 to 4 tablespoons of these, of bone broth, of meat, well, meat is going to be more because you're going to want more in that. If you're looking for, I'll talk about this a bit later on, but if you're looking for more of a foundation on how you can put foods together, I have another video in here that I will link in the notes that you can go to if you're looking for more of a foundation. The Superfoods is more of a supplement. So side note, anyway, you can find that in the notes after this video if you want to find more of a foundation. But our collagen is another key nutrient, and you can find that in bone broth. About 1 cup daily is helpful. Vitamin B6, which is found in nut butters and sunflower seeds, which we saw on the previous slide with the sunflower seeds. 2 to 4 tablespoons of sprouted seeds will help. Oils, which include oily fish, nuts, and coconut oil. So when we talk about oils here, we want naturally occurring oils. So oils that are found in salmon, for example. Nuts are a great source of oil. Coconut oil is naturally occurring as well. About 2 tablespoons a day is going to help to supplement for our body composition. Vitamin E, which is found in oils, nuts, and seeds. And antioxidants, which is found in berries and green tea. I also put some pictures in here just for a little visual representation as well. The third category we'll talk about is preventative health. So this is in terms of our bone and our heart health. these are impacted by a drop in our hormones that happens post-menopause especially. So when we can start to support our cardiovascular and our bone health with nutrition, as well as fitness, of course, but our bone health can be impacted as well as our heart health by our nutrition. So keys in our heart health are anti-inflammatory and high antioxidant foods, which can have even a greater impact than some pharmaceutical medication. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not recommending to stop taking pharmaceutical medication, but it's just something else to think about in a more holistic approach. Some doctors are really good at looking at a holistic approach, so you could ask your doctor about some of these foods as well. And in terms of heart health, essential fatty acids can support reducing inflammation in the body as well. In terms of bone health, calcium and other minerals, some types of calcium, like calcium carbonate, aren't very well absorbable into the body, so they can coat the stomach lining. This would be like what Tums would be for. And in terms of bone health as well, vitamin K2 and vitamin D are needed to create healthy bones. So when we look over to that chart, it'll talk about some foods that are really helpful in our heart and our bone health. Berries, beets, pomegranate, oily fish, again, it comes up. Eggs, nuts and seeds, again, they come up. And dark leafy vegetables. And the fourth one we'll look at is in terms of symptom management, which can come into really a heavy sort of play during the perimenopause phase. So before your actual cycle stops, when all of the most fluctuating levels of hormones happen, especially when estrogen comes into play. So in that late 40s stage, we'll experience progesterone dropping and estrogen increasing first and then dropping. So when our progesterone drops, this usually happens mid-40s, our GABA levels also decrease and we can feel more heightened anxiety. When our estrogen levels drop, serotonin levels also decrease, which can bring lower moods. So this looks like in perimenopause, our lower estrogen can lower our GABA, which will feel more anxiety and irritability. And then in the actual menopause and post-menopause, which happens early 50s, typically in North America, then we'll feel lower estrogen and lower serotonin, which can have an effect on our mood. So you might feel a lower and more depressed mood in general overall. Maybe you don't, and that's great, but if you do, these foods could help you out. So our key nutrients here are probiotics, tryptophan, which we'll find in turkey and chicken, phytoestrogens, which we talked about in the first one when it came to those seeds and those legumes. So phytoestrogen binds to our estrogen receptors in our body, and that will help to mimic estrogen and help to balance our natural levels of decreased estrogen. We want to look at more fiber. So psyllium and flaxseed will help with that. Also in our vegetables will increase our fiber intake as well. Protein, because protein contains amino acids, which is the building blocks to making our neurotransmitters in our brain, supporting our liver detox as well. And then B vitamins, which can be found in eggs, nuts, and seeds, among others. Which acts as a cofactor to help convert tryptophan to serotonin. So tryptophan we talked about in the turkey and in the chicken. The B vitamins will help support that. B vitamins can also help to support our liver detox as well, and that's something that we want to have daily. So as I mentioned earlier, these superfoods are meant to be a supplement to our foundational nutritional plan, and I talk about that briefly in another video. Just some key notes to take forth moving forward on how to create your nutrition foundation. If you're interested, put in the comments if you want me to go into a little bit more depth on what a nutrition plan might look like in this phase of life. Some key things to look at and to talk about when we're looking at creating a nutrition plan in the way of supporting us moving forward and not in a way of depriving us, because so often we look at food as something we have to weigh and measure and take away. And I like to look at it in a different way. I like to look at it in the way that it can support how we feel. And then if weight loss is a goal, that becomes a natural and convenient byproduct of when we look at food to support us. So bringing in these superfoods into your regular foundation and your food choices while still maintaining the foundational steps will help to boost positive effects of each of the 4 categories that we talked about, which were hormone balance, preventative health, body composition, and symptom management. So I hope that you found that helpful. If you have any questions below, please feel free to ask. I would love to know what you're wondering about so that I can know also in terms of making other videos on fitness and on nutrition. I would love to know what you're wondering about. And like I said, I will link that nutrition foundation video in here. That one I go into not so deeply. It's basic, a little bit more than this in terms of more holistic, but let me know if you're interested in me making a video about more, in depth, let's say, on, it'll be about half an hour probably, on creating more of a nutrition plan and like 2 or 3 key things to look at when it comes to pairing foods and how to like do food in this phase of life. Thank you for joining, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.